These are these lunch trays that you can buy on Amazon. And I do like them. Because I can just move one project right out of the way. Let's see, that needs to go on lock. Okay. So I've got these. I've already sprayed them with mold release. And I had not tried these yet. I got them in recently. So I'm going to try them now. I think in one of these, I'm going to put a little bit of the diamond dust down in it. Maybe a couple of these in the centers. These that have specific little centers. And see how those do. Okay. So I've got just a little bit of this with the glitter in it. So I'm going to put that down in first in this one mold. It's starting to get thick, so we're going to want to kind of work fast here. Now it's going to move around. It's not going to stay where I put it. Never does. Kind of want to try to loosen up the bubbles. And I'll go over this now because I'm using a mold here. I torched the letter, but I'm not going to torch this. I'm going to give it a spritz with some alcohol because I just don't want to risk burning the mold. That's always a problem. You don't want to burn your molds. Now these torches, they burn really hot. You could get away with using a lighter as long as you stay away from the edges of the mold. You know, just like one of those little long neck barbecue lighters. But I have messed up a couple of molds, so I just stay away from that altogether. I just stay away from it altogether, and then that way I don't have to worry about it. Because molds are expensive. I have quite a bit of money invested in molds. I might sit down. I've been standing during this whole process so I could see what I was doing with that letter. Okay. Now, using the leveling board, it does raise your work surface up, so it might not be as comfortable for sitting. I know it's really not for me, but the leveling board makes a huge difference. What I will do is I will put that P back over here on the leveling board when we're done and just put these little molds on that same tray so that they're level while they're curing. I'm going to scrape out as much of this resin as I can. And I'm just winging it here. I really don't have a plan for these flowers, but all these little molds with these little embellishments, you can always find a use for them in a larger project. So we'll see how that goes. Try to get it all out into these little petals. And when you are fishing for bubbles, you can stick your popsicle stick down in your mold. Just don't scrape the mold, especially if it's a smooth surface mold like a coaster or something, because whatever indentations you make in that mold are going to be in every casting that you do. For the rest of the time that you use that mold. I think I had a little too much in here. I love the mica powders. I tend to use those more often than I use any other colorant, but there are so many different ways that you can color your resin. These might not have been enough. I may have to go grab another mold here because I still have some more. Let me just get out that little heart mold that I had out earlier because I know right where I can put my hands on it real quick. Okay. I've still got that clear resin I haven't finished using. And I have got, I can just throw in some color. To it and make a bunch of little hearts. And those hearts can be used for all kinds of things. Hearts, gummy bears, I've got some little stars. I get a lot of little bitty molds that I can pull out when I have ready when I have extra resin. I just didn't think I'd have this much extra resin. I kind of over mixed. So I'll have a lot of pink flowers we can use for all kinds of neat little things. And okay. Give me just want to fill this little flower up. Okay, there we go. That's all the flowers. Okay, I'm gonna grab one more quick mold. Pinks. Okay, so this one has already been sprayed because I cleaned it up from the last time we used it and sprayed it before I put it away. So let's see, this is done. There's some of this left. And let me just add a little bit of something to this. This is the easiest because I don't have to get anything out to scoop it with. And maybe a little glitter. Make it pink and glittery, huh? Now, these candy molds, they do not have a shiny surface inside. They're really pretty matte. These are a little shinier than most, but so what I'll probably end up doing is going back over them with some UV resin and to shine them up later. See, I've got some of the white, not much. So I'm going to put some of that down into one, and then I'll layer the pink down on top of it. We like to use as much of the resin as we can because, you know, who wants to waste resin that you spent all this money on? I may not know what I'm going to use these little things for at the time that I do them, but I do know that I can find a use for them. We do know that that is true. Now I don't need to fill these all the way up. They're quite deep. And if I don't fill them up, they really, I think, make a better pendant. So I think I'm only going to go about halfway on this one. Now I did do a couple earlier in the week that I did fill up with some leftover resin, and those I'm going to turn into like book bag charms or keychains. But maybe for pendants. Now I don't know if you can see the flowers. There's a lot of bubbles coming up from the bottom, and they're moving kind of to the center. So we'll go back and pop those. I mean, I could file them off later off the back of the These little silicone jugs are just fantastic for working with resin. They're squeezable, so you can kind of squeeze the resin when you get down to the bottom. They clean up so easy. When we get done here, I will just take a baby wipe and for each one of them and just clean the resin right out. No muss, no fuss. Then I can go back with some soapy water and finish that off. Let's see. Here's the alcohol. I don't remember. This is just some 91% alcohol. Picked it right up at Walmart. These bubbles are just not giving me and the alcohol will usually get rid of the bubbles. There you go. That one bubble does not want to go anywhere. See, that's pop it with a popsicle stick. Here we go. And the problem with the resin, if it's gotten a chance to kind of harden up, is that the bubbles don't move very well. So these hearts are not smooth at the bottom, and there's that point. So I'm going to just kind of go in with my popsicle stick Try to loosen up any that have gotten caught on the side. There's this little indentation there in the hearts, I guess to give it some kind of pattern in these, and bubbles like to stick to. So, as you can see, there's already some more bubbles in this one flower. So I will keep coming back at these while I'm here cleaning up. And double checking my bubble situation. See, now I'm not creating bubbles, I'm loosening them and helping them rise to the top, because you don't want them down in the mold, because that's when you demold it and you have a little sharp places where the bubble got caught on the edge. Is that a bubble? Could be a piece of, oh, that's part of the, that's not a bubble, that's just part of the mold. Okay. And sometimes the molds will fool you if they're real detailed and you haven't used them before. Okay, so we're gonna call this, and we'll come back and see how everything turned out. Okay, well, it has been more than 24 hours. I'm gonna remove the cover, and let's see how our little flowers and hearts did. Okay, we'll start with this one. That's the light. If you enjoyed this channel, please like and subscribe, and comment. Tell me about what you've been doing with resin. Okay, this one, I didn't manage to get the bubbles out of 2 of these little petals. It's still going to be usable. I'm just going to sand that just a little bit so that they're not sharp, and then I can still use these as this is an embellishment. And then this one, surprisingly, I did not lose any petals to bubbles. This one came out nice. Remember, I put that diamond glass in the center before I poured with the pink. Came out really nice. And this one, okay, I had poured some of that, the white in there. I had a little bubble in the tip of that one. But again, just a little sanding to keep that from being sharp, and that will be just perfectly fine. Let's see. Okay, this one, and I kept thinking that was a bubble poking through, but apparently it has a, whoops, see if I can get it so you can see that. It has a hole in it so that you could make this into a pendant. So, which I might do that for my daughter. She would love that. Okay. And then there's this one. I don't know, see if maybe I can get it to focus better on the flower. That color is really hard for you to see a whole lot of detail. And then this one, remember I'd used a couple of the colors here. See if I can get it to focus good. Okay. And then we had the hearts. Let's see if I can, I'll move those up so that you can see the demold a little better, hopefully. Let's see if I can bring that down. Okay. Remember, I didn't fill these all the way up because these are such thick molds. I mean, look, I didn't fill this all the way up, and it's already, look how thick that is. This has this little like indent that they did in the heart, I guess, because these are actually candy molds. And here's another one. It's where I used just some of the leftovers, so I had several colors in that. Okay. Then there's this one. And this one I didn't make nearly as thick. I think I like that size better for pendants. Whoops, there we go. And these pop out really easy. These silicone candy molds. Now they're not as shiny as say molds made for resin, although this is not a totally matte finish, but you can always shine that up by either coating it with some more epoxy resin or coat it with some UV resin and then just shoot the light on it. So I think my girls would really like a couple of these heart pendants. There's pink and sparkly. Maybe I could do a pair of them since they're sisters. Okay. So please like and subscribe if you're enjoying anything on my channel. It really helps. If you want to be notified when there's a new video up, hit the notification button. Comment, leave a comment in the comments. That also really helps. And let me know in the comments what kind of crafts you want to see in the videos, because I've got a whole lot of different crafts that I'm going to be doing, and I would be just as happy to bump one of them up to the top of the list if it's something that you want to see in particular. Okay, thanks. Bye now.